I'm holding a car payment in my hand. Nah, but no, seriously. Amouage Outlands, $475. Yeah, take a breath. It's okay. I already know what some of you are thinking, and that's why I'm making this video. I'm late to the party. I know a lot of people have already been talking about this one, but shout out to my good people over at Black Aroma. We were having a conversation. There's been a lot of transparency talk about, clones versus niche, originals, which one's better? Is there such thing as one-to-one? And we're gonna continue that conversation today. So I have the contender, Arabiyat Prestige, and this is Ramad Oriental. So yeah, clone war versus, cash money, no limit. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Yo, what's going on, party people, fat boy family? I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Listen, it's Wednesday, it's hump day. We made it through the middle of another week. And typically Wednesday is our niche day, and we're technically talking about niche in this video. So we're also talking about a clone, kind of doing a versus. So if you like that kind of thing, you're in the right place. Do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. And while you're at it, go ahead and click the bell to be notified every single time I post new content to the channel. But let's go ahead and jump right into today's conversation. All right, again, I'm gonna show you the bottle one more time so you don't, question what's going on. From the house of Amouage. That's right, Walt is reviewing an Amouage fragrance. This is Outlands, one of the most hyped fragrances this year. You know what I'm saying? So I'm late to the party, but I'm on time. I love when everybody else, goes ahead, gets their thoughts out, and then I can come behind and be like, let's see what's really good, because one of my favorite houses that I've been talking about as of late is Arabiyat Prestige. And just to show you that again, we have that Ramad Oriental. Crazy looking bottle, but we're not gonna talk about that. We're not gonna talk about that. All right, so we're gonna run the gamut. We're gonna go through the 4 Ps, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna go through presentation, we're gonna go through profile, we're gonna go through performance, we're gonna go through price, because $475, man, that's a lot of money. And again, I know we're having a transparency conversation. It's all about value. What do you value? Do you value the better price, or do you value the better experience? Or can you get the better experience from a clone? Some situations you can. We want to see, does that hold true for this? I know you didn't come here to hear me talk about a whole bunch of context and jargon. So nonetheless, let's go ahead, jump right into it. Let's start with presentation. All right, so first up, we have Amouage Outlands, and you can see here, this is different than the older typical bottles that you get from Amouage. And if my understanding is correct, these are the style of bottles that they are going to go to. So a lot of those older bottles like you have that are in the reflection style, I think the Purpose 50, all of those are ultimately going to be going away at some point. And the thing is, some people appreciate bottles. I appreciate bottles. Some people don't, so that's what you can kind of expect right there, especially if you're a collector. If you are a collector, then you appreciate the presentation. If you're not, you more so care about the juice. And then over here we have Arabiyat Prestige, and this is Ramad Oriental. Now, this is a dope looking bottle, cool looking bottle. It also looks like something that I'm not going to address here on the channel, but dope color scheme or whatever. You have the gold trim that is happening right there. You have Arabiyat Prestige that is right there on the top, right? And then the cap, kind of plastic, nothing really special about it, there. And I don't see any additional details or anything like that around the atomizer. Let's check here with the Amouage. Again, kind of this hard plastic, could have been 3D printed, but nothing necessarily special specifically about that either. Excuse me. All right, let's get into the atomizer. So I'm gonna put Outlands on my left hand where the watch is, and then I'm gonna put Ramad on my right hand where my beads are. So let's see what this atomizer is talking about. Ooh, okay. So nothing really special about the atomizer. Ooh, in the air, that's strong though. Woo, okay. It's gonna be a heck of a battle, but try not to choke myself. And that is oily. But, oh, I lied. Wait a minute. The cap is magnetic. It is a magnetic cap. All right, okay, Amouage, I see you. This cap is not magnetic. All right, so we're gonna get the Arabiyat Prestige on the right hand. Let's see what the atomizer is doing over here. Pressurized atomizers. I did 3 over there, I'm gonna do 3 over here. They always win. Out the gate, I can already tell the difference. However, we're still talking about presentation. So again, Amouage, I'm gonna give you a 1, you know what I'm saying, for that, you know, magnetic cap. But Arabiyat Prestige, I'm gonna 1-up you because of that atomizer. All right, so far, you know what I'm saying, we're still gonna call it a draw because most people are not gonna care about that. Let's go ahead and move on to this profile. All right, so with Outlands, you basically have this woody, ambery profile. This is going to be perfect for fall and for winter, all right? Now, one of the things that I did notice right off the gate is that Amouage Outlands is thicker, it is denser. There is more density to this right out of the sprayer. Over here with the Arabiyat Prestige Ramad, this is a little bit brighter. So it's not as dense. Doesn't mean it's weak, but it is brighter in the opening than what I get from Amouage Outlands. All right, so let's see as it continues to work through. And you can kind of see that's the consistency there of Outlands. And I don't have anything on my hands. I got on an unscented lotion. I didn't put on anything today because I knew I was gonna be doing this. So you can tell just looking at it, the Amouage Outlands is definitely the more oily of the two. This is, Outlands is a, I don't know what this is. It's an EDP? Essence de Parfum. They done made up their own thing. It's an EDP. Arabiyat Prestige is a, it's an EDP as well. So EDP versus EDP. But Amouage definitely does seem to be the oilier of the two, especially looking at my desk here. So as far as smell profile, so definitely as far as what I get, there's a presence of cardamom here. This, you know, I know some of y'all gonna be like, wait a minute, Walt, you don't like that whole, what I call it, home bazaar, Boss Bottled Absolute. Like this starts to waver in that profile just a little bit. There are some nuances here that are familiar from me smelling that. Not quite barnyard, but there's a slight, like, it's called Outland. So there's a slight barnyard outdoor nature here. Not like fecal or anything like that, not like feet, but there's the slightest barnyard nuance that I'm getting. But I can definitely pick up on the cardamom. There's some type of pepper or some level of spice here. So you have this nice, warm, spicy, resinous. I'm getting resins or whatever. Like I get that cardamom. There's some sweetness here, but like I said, there's spice. Kind of smells like outdoor. It's a little bit earthy. So I'm assuming there's some patchouli in here possibly. But there's a nice sweetness to it. So this kind of goes up to that line of Boss Bottle Absolute, and then it kind of comes back. It's like, hey, now we're not gonna go quite there. All right, that's what I get in the opening, and I'm gonna continue to let that go through. Now, Arabiyat Prestige Ramad Oriental. So this is different. Again, this is not as dense. This is not as warm. There's something elevated here. It's brighter. I can already tell you that this would probably be the more wearable of the two. In what, like, to me, this is something you pull out when it's 60 degrees or below. This profile, Outlands, is 60 degrees and below, in my opinion. Arabiyat, you could get away with it 70 degrees. So on a cool sunny day, a nice sunny, like a fall sunny day or even a spring, Arabiyat Prestige's Ramad, you could still get away with. There's more like a fruit here, like maybe orange. Like there's more of a fruit presence here because it's brighter. So there's probably more citrus, maybe some bergamot or something, but the sweetness kind of reminds me of an orange. I could be way off on that. I'm not getting a lot of pepper, but there is a resinous incense type thing here that does happen with this as well. But it's brighter. It's much brighter. It's not as thick. It's not as dense. Like, if I had to describe it, Outlands is a coat. It is a sweater. It's gonna hug you. The Arabiyat Prestige is a jacket. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool, but it's not cold. With Outlands, it's like it's snowing outside. With Arabiyat Prestige, it's a brisk breeze. So we're still talking about the profile. Let me actually go and see what's in this. And then I'm gonna give it a while. It is 427. Y'all can't, matter of fact, if you can see that, you can't really see it. It's 427. We're gonna come back. Either I'm gonna come back in 30 minutes or I'm gonna come back in an hour. And then we're gonna come back and then we're gonna finish this up and we're gonna see how they start to progress, how they start to perform. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull the notes up so we can see what's in here. All right, so we're gonna deal with Amouage first. In the top, we have cardamom, which I was definitely able to pick out, bergamot, lemon, Sichuan pepper, talked about elemi, frankincense. In the heart, we have patchouli. I was right on that. Rose, orange blossom, cumin, okay, geranium, davana, saffron, anise, and coriander. So there's a lot of that spice, a lot of that peppery, resinous, you know, nature going on. And then in the base, we have benzoin, labdanum, amber, ambergris, frankincense, apopanax, vanilla, birch, musk, and oud. So that's a lot. So like I said, we got to really let this work out so we can figure out what's going on with it completely. And then we jump over here to Ramad from Arabiyat Prestige. We have cardamom, elemi, pepper, bergamot, and lemon. All right. In the middle, we have cumin, saffron, patchouli, geranium, and jasmine. It's probably why I felt like this is going to be more wearable, especially in the springtime, because those florals are definitely more significant there. And then in the base, we have apopanax, olibanum, benzoin, vanilla, and amber. So definitely some crossover there, but you can tell just looking at the notes, there is a difference. So like I said, it's 427. We're going to wait. We'll be back. You know what I'm saying? SpongeBob time, and then we'll figure out what's happening.
So, I'm keeping it above with y'all. Like, this really smells like blonde amber. I'm not lying. Like, you have a more resinous, you know what I'm saying, blonde amber. And I'm not saying Amouage, clone, Clyde, Christian, but we always talk about the clone companies. Like, everybody's borrowing, you know. Imitation is the slightest form of flattery, but it's so thick, like, pause. It is so much density to this Outlands. It is crazy. Like, I only sprayed it 3 times. Like, you wouldn't need to spray this any more than that. But $475 versus there's a clear difference. There's a clear difference. I want to give it the entire time. But there is a clear difference here. Man, I feel like this is gonna come down to price. That's what I feel like. I feel like this is gonna come down to price. Because there's a clear difference. It's clear.
1 million, zillion, jillion, dillion, cotillion times later.
All right, I'm back. Y'all can see it's 5 o'clock, right? Same day. You probably saw my little blurb. There's a clear winner here as it relates to performance, right? We've gone through presentation, we've gone through profile, and as we get into performance, I can't necessarily speak on longevity, but I can tell you there's going to be a clear winner here. Amouage Outlands is thumping. It is pushing. That warm, resinous profile is just, and I went outside. I'm like, because, you know, if you're sitting inside a room, that can kind of throw you off, you know, because you'll be like, these are neck and neck. Go outside. Go outside and get that breeze and get that fresh air and everything is blowing. Even looking at my skin, like you can kind of tell there's a clear distinction here. And as good as Arabiyat Prestige is, you can tell there's a lot more oil. There's a lot more oil. A lot more oil. And I know some people will be like, well, pressurized atomizer and the distribution and all of that. Nonetheless, there's a lot more oil specifically in Amouage. So that doesn't mean that the Arabiyat is weak, because the Arabiyat is good. It's just that the Amouage is just so much more presence. You know what I'm saying? Like if we were talking, I like to relate things to music. So this is heavy. This is what we would call a warm mix. You know, anything about music, anything about engineering, this is what we would call a warm mix. It is thick. It is very dense. So the lows are there. The mids are there. There's not much trouble. There's enough trouble there to really, you know what I'm saying, as far as the citrus or whatever, to really get you by. Arabiyat is going to focus more on the highs. You know what I'm saying? High mids. There are barely any mids, barely any depth. Like it's there, but this is like the florals are working harder here. Even after 30 minutes, 35 minutes, the florals are really what are working harder, which is why I say this one is probably more wearable, especially if you're indoors. If you're indoors, Amouage, you're gonna really need to dial back on the sprays. Arabiyat Prestige, you can kind of ramp it up. Even if you're outside, I still would dial back on the sprays with Amouage because it is a super strong fragrance. So as far as the scent bubble, what I was able to get scent trail, just kind of walking around, a couple of my neighbors, you know, that I live by. I wish I had got the recording, you know, and actually recorded them saying that. I'll do that next time. But yeah, like they could really smell the Amouage, and I could smell the Amouage as I'm walking by, this, that, and the third. I can just kind of tell the Arabiyat Prestige is becoming more of a skin scent already. Like it smells good. Like as it relates to smell, and as you get to the dry down, more of those florals and some of that pepper really starts to come through. As a smell, like they did a good job. Arabiyat did a good job. As far as a smell profile, being able to capture the essence of Amouage Outlands, they captured that. But it is not even close as it relates to performance. Like this Amouage is blowing it out of the water in projection and in estimated longevity based on how it's going now. Like I said, the Arabiyat is already kind of, you know, sitting close to the skin, and this thing over here is still booming. So again, we talked about overall presentation. We talked about the actual profile, and then talked about what we could as far as performance, because this is still kind of a first impression, and we'll do a follow-up at some point. You know, stay tuned for one of my lives where we'll really do the follow-up on that. But let's go back and talk about price, and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so I feel like this is all gonna come down to price because Amouage Outlands, as I said, you know what I'm saying, $475. Right now, you can probably find it on a gray market for probably cheaper, but you're still gonna pay at least somewhere around that $400 mark. Maybe you get lucky and get $380, but you're still dropping, you know, some people's car payments or whatever, or a high energy bill or a gas bill, you know, depending on what kind of home that you have. And then over here for Arabiyat Prestige Ramad Oriental, we're at $45. So is Amouage Outlands basically $400, $420 more? Is it worth $420 more than Arabiyat Prestige? I personally would not spend $475 on this profile. I personally would not spend $475 on a lot of things. I would have to be absolutely head over heels about the profile. So for me, this is not a profile that I would specifically go crazy over. So let me just put that out there. But there are not a lot of things that I'm gonna be like, $475, it's like, no. So we're definitely not buying retail, even on the gray market. I'm like, you know, can we get under $300? Can we get, and people are like $300. I'm like, it just depends on what it is. There are some things I have an expectation that you're gonna pay more, you know, if you want more. For $45, you're still getting a great scent. You're getting a great profile. You're still getting great quality, but there is a gap. There is a significant gap as it relates to Amouage. Do not let anybody lie to you and tell you that it's one-to-one, because it's not. It's not. Scent wise in the opening, like I tell you, if the opening is different, you kind of start at a 90. And then because the performance is so dramatically different, I got to knock it down to about an 80. So the profile is there. I'm going to give it between a 75 and an 80 because I think it's a good attempt. Matter of fact, I'm going to give it a 75. That's me being real. You're going to pass, you pass. That's me being very honest. And 75 these days is pretty good. But there is a clear distinction between the OG and this one. I'm going to give it a 75, which is still high in my book because I think it's a good job. It's just, I mean, like, there's a clear winner here. Now, price wise, we're talking about value. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, especially since it's so similar to like Blonde Amber and like Boss Bottled Absolute. So it's like, oh, you know, and which Blonde Amber is much cheaper on the gray market than this is currently. But that's been out for a minute. Outlands is still relatively new. If you have the money, do what you need to do. If you don't have the money, do what you need to do. That's as simple as that. This really comes down to price because it is such a dramatic difference. And I already know most of y'all gonna be like, bro, ain't nobody paying no $475, no $450, no $400, no $200. We ain't even paying $200. I'm like, well, you know, that's you. But there are some people out there that will pay it. So I get that. I'm not mad at it at all. Arabiyat, great job. Amouage, clear winner in this case. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about that. Nonetheless, I appreciate you guys sticking around. I know that was kind of a longer video than what I've been doing as of late, but I wanted to make sure that we got all of those details across. So if you want to see me do more of these comparisons, yeah, y'all hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and you click the bell so you can be notified every single time I post new content to the channel. But your engagement is what communicates to the brands that we love Walt's perspective and we love Walt's approach, and they're more likely to say, hey, we're going to sing you something. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my people again over at Black Aroma for making this happen. We're going to sing you something so we can continue to have this transparency conversation. Not that we're trying to discourage people from buying clones. Not that we're trying to put niche up on a pedestal. We just want to have transparent truth conversations, and I consider myself to be a leader of that pack nonetheless. But I'll holler at y'all until next time. Y'all stay safe out there, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Y'all be easy.